What is going on, crisis actors? Get your beanies ready. It is episode 1004 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, crisis actors. It's Mary. I have my beanie on. We're making good on that wager from our recent special episode, and I don't know if you can see the resemblance, but we are basically cosplaying as Tim today.
Looks just like him.
Yeah, but I think for us, it just doesn't really look the same because we have it high up the way that hipsters wore them in the early 2010s.
Well,
it's just like
me and you are
time
descended.
Traveled back to 2013. I love it.
Me and you are descended from hipsters.
Are we?
Yes, I would like to think so.
How do you... Well, you're like actually from that generation, though. So I think if I were to say that, I'd be stealing valor.
So no, then I guess you would be descended from hipsters, and I am from that generation.
Yeah, I think I want to avoid pissing off any actual former dyed-in-the-wool hipsters because that's not my culture. But I appreciate it, not appropriate it.
I feel the same way when people say that I'm like I'm a nerd or a geek. I'm like, no, that's like a specific skill set. I don't have that skill set. I'm neither of those. I wish I was, but I'm not. How was your weekend?
Just like I'm not emo, by the way.
Yes.
And I need to be clear about this. People think that I have emo hair, but what I'm actually doing is far more rebellious and original than that.
Tell people about it. You were telling me about it before the show.
I was just ranting to Brett about my hairstyle because I guess, this is just what I think about on a daily basis. I think like when I go to a hairdresser these days and ask for them to style my bangs, it's like speaking a foreign language because nobody has side-swept bangs anymore in 2026. In the big 26, it's just not a thing. You go out in public. I look for people who have side bangs. It's not a thing anymore. It just does not exist. Our culture has lost the humble side bang. And I am the one person, I'm the black sheep trying to bring it back. And I feel like nobody is like backing me up on this. So no, this is not emo hair. It's just a side bang. And it's something that I hope comes back into fashion eventually. Anyway, before I forget,
20. Yep.
We have a 20 in the super chats from Shane H. Wilder. Happy Monday, Skater Tim and Lady Tim. LOL, in all seriousness, congrats on reaching 400k subs, Brett and Mary. Since we didn't do anything for 200k or 300k, I say wait to party at 500,000. PCC will get there soon. Certainly sooner than we think. 400 came sooner than we thought.
Yep, if we keep at this pace. I have a question for you. So who was the last big name that had the bangs that you have? Like when was it celebrity? When was it last in fashion?
Gosh, I mean, maybe it was Taylor Swift.
How long ago was that?
She had a side bang in like the early 2010s for a little while. Okay. She got rid of it though.
Okay.
I don't think anybody else is really rocking the side bang, but it used to be like literally every celebrity at a certain point in the late 2000s, at least, had it, and it was just the thing. It was just the default hairstyle, and somehow our culture has forgotten the humble side bang, and I really hope that changes.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'm like holding out hope.
You will keep it ready for when it comes back up. I'm
feeling like a quirked up Tumblrite today. I don't really feel like Tim Pool today. I feel like I don't know, like one of those people who said swag and like wore galaxy print leggings.
What about
That's
Supreme?
How I feel right now.
Like before Supreme?
Supreme?
Like
that was more like for the swag Filipinos.
I know, but like they were around the same time though.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Do you remember the swag
Beast.
Filipinos though, like specifically, or is that a regional thing?
That's a regional thing. But in general, hype beast culture and everything around that time period. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I made the joke. I said I could have with this beanie on, I could have been listening to the Ready set, and you would never know.
It was such a time. Like I feel like everybody had a ukulele. I didn't. But it just seemed like everybody had a ukulele and played only one song, which was Riptide.
Okay. All right.
I was having a sorry. I'm just like going down memory lane.
No, that's good.
Don't mind me.
By the way, guys, we've made good on this bet. I have no idea how Tim does this every day, but like I can barely hear anything right now. I gotta turn my headphones up, if anything. There we go.
You're gonna be like me, blasting it into your ears.
Yeah, and I am working my way through Scream Queens, ladies and gentlemen. Because that was the other bet that I had put forth, was that I would watch season 1 of Scream Queens. I'm 3 or 4 episodes in. I don't remember which one. Episodes 1 and 2 on the Hulu version were like 1 episode. So I think I'm 3 episodes in.
It's been a while since I watched Scream Queens, actually, so I didn't have a great recollection of the plot.
Emma Roberts
give us our mini review.
Yeah. Emma Roberts was born to play this role of just the most awful human being you've ever met in your entire life, and it's amazing. It really is. It's something I can only take of in small doses because it's so far outside my genre, if that makes any sense. But it made sense once I looked back and realized that it was written and created by Ryan Murphy, because only the cattiest of gay men could have written this show.
Ryan Murphy's gay?
Isn't he? Am I wrong about that?
No, I just didn't know. I assume you're right.
Well, all his other shows focus heavily on such things, except for American Horror Story. I mean, maybe that does as well.
That's interesting because, you know, Chanel Oberlin is obviously like an evil bitch in the show, but you usually don't care for an unlikable protagonist.
Okay, but she's not supposed to be likable. That's the difference. So.
Oh, okay. It has to do with the authorial intent.
Yes.
Behind the character.
So I had like a revelation over the weekend that I can watch. Like, I don't actually hate woke. I only hate snark when it comes to wokeness. For the most part, you could put in the most girl boss story ever. I probably don't care as long as she's not snotty and snarky. So as long as the storylines avoid hyper snarky protagonists and stories about like white supremacy, which obviously end up being like overdone. Like, you want to do 1 a season, fine, but if you start pretending like it's happening everywhere, it ends up being really, really annoying. But I was thinking back to Indiana Jones in the Dial of Destiny. Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character is what ruined it for me, because her character is snarky and snotty. And pretty much every example, I started I'm taking my 3rd attempt at watching the show Tracker, which is it's like I guess it's an ABC show. It's very paint-by-numbers procedural, starring Justin Hartley. And both times I turned it off is because there's this character named like Rennie or Reenie, who's just the most annoying person you've ever met in your entire life. And she was always like the first thing that showed up on screen. So it immediately turned me off the show. I finally made it. I just skipped all of season 1 and went into season 2. And she shows up less frequently earlier on in the episodes. And when she does, she doesn't say annoying things. So now I've kind of leaned into liking the show because her character isn't being patronizing and snarky the whole time. So really, I don't really care about progressivism in stories. I really just care when characters are deeply unlikable. But Oberlin, that's the character's name, right? Chanel Oberlin.
Chanel Oberlin,
She's not supposed to be likable in any sense of the imagination. Like, literally, the first thing she does is kill her maid. Like, and then gets annoyed that it happened rather than remorseful. She's not supposed to be likable. And so every character is essentially like that. In fact, the one character that ends up being a little bit annoying is Keke Palmer's character. And then the other girl, the one who's supposed to be, I guess, the protagonist in the show, she's kind of annoying because she's dragging it down by being sensible in a show where no sense is supposed to be occupied.
Yeah, and she's also like super pick-me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we've probably reacted to this scene. It's the most infamous Scream Queens scene ever, where she's in the coffee shop talking to this male barista, and she's like, "Ugh, I hate those pumpkin spice lattes. Just give me a normal coffee." Like, oh my gosh. And then he asks for her name, and she says, "Senorita Awesome." And he's just like, "I'm in love." Look, like, what is this script?
I am okay with the show so far because none of the awful characters are supposed to be painted as likable individuals. So as long as they're not doing that.
That's a very important distinction to make.
And I think Jamie Lee Curtis is perfectly cast for that role, especially if you're like not used to seeing her in such a, I don't even know how to describe it, such a ridiculous role.
Yeah. And Glenn Powell, of course, is shining example of, you know, clawing your way up to the top in Hollywood.
Yep, exactly.
Because he had to play Chad Bradwell?
Chad
Right.
Radwell.
Radwell, yes.
So I am up to episode 3. I will
character.
keep you guys informed as I go through it. It is one of those things that it almost would have been better to watch weekly when it was coming out, because it is so over the top that watching it in like binge format is a little bit difficult. There's a 20 there from Pop Culture Junkie.
Almost missed that one. Mary, having done a ton of fashion photos and having makeup and hairstylist friends, I think your sideswept bangs are totally appropriate to your features and the shape of your face. Well, thank you. I didn't know you were a veritable expert on these subjects, but I agree with you for the record. I think that
shape
it was
does
a great.
matter.
It might be one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Yeah.
Is getting a side bang, and that was before I even was on camera for a living.
Hat shape matters, and face shape relative to the hat you wear matters. It actually
Definitely.
does. I have like, I guess, I don't know if it's hundreds of hats, but I've got lots of hats, and there's only a couple of them that get worn on the regular because because most of the new era hats, they don't all fit uniform. Like you can get a 7 1/4 hat, and they don't necessarily all fit the same. Some are deeper, some are more shallow, some are wider, and it's just a virtue of how it's. I don't know if they're hand stitched or how they're made, but there's only a couple of them that I wear consistently because they fit really, really well.
These days, the beanies that are in style are the kind that are intended to be above the ears on men, at least.
Not
and
for
it
me.
looks horrible. Yeah. I hate that more than almost anything.
All right. We got a bunch of stuff to get into today, guys. But before we get started, as always, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already, please and thank you. The more people that you share the episodes with, the faster this channel can grow. Also, bear in mind, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but there is wind going on here today, so the chimney is causing a ruckus, as it always does behind me. So just
and it wouldn't
cognizant.
be PCC without it.
Exactly. All right, what are we getting into today? Well, there was some craziness going on at the BAFTAs last night because in somebody's infinite wisdom, there was a gentleman who has a movie made about him called I Swear. He has Tourette syndrome, and somebody, like I said, in their infinite wisdom, decided to seat him at the front of the show, and of course, slurs and swear words and rude interruptions ensued. One in which used a very poor choice of words, a racial slur, right at the time when Delroy Lindo and Michael B. Jordan were on stage presenting an award, and it led to an entire meltdown online. So we will get into all of that. It was crazy stuff. Also, we're going to talk about Sophie Turner talking about growing up, with social media, because she's from Game of Thrones, growing up with social media as this kind of anchor that can just drag you down when you're a young person in the spotlight. Also, Mary wants to talk about somebody named Blair Anderson. Blaine. Not Blaine. Blair would make more sense. Blaine
Which you
Anderson,
might mistake with the Glee character. It's not the male gay Glee character.
It's a matchmaker.
Yes, she is a professional matchmaker for essentially tech bros who have way too much money and not enough common sense.
Okay, we got that. We got a bunch of other stuff. If you're ready, we can go. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go for it.
So Eric Dane's friends just launched a GoFundMe to support his family after his tragic, untimely passing. He degraded in health very quickly, as you have probably already heard. He announced his diagnosis last year in April and only 10 months later lost his life, and he leaves behind a 13-year-old daughter and a 15-year-old daughter. He's also still legally married to his wife, Rebecca Gayhart, who is legally separated from him and in a different relationship. And all of those entanglements are probably for a different discussion entirely.
We may talk about that tomorrow with Colonel Kurtz.
Those are becoming a whole different can of worms. But what I've seen on the timeline mainly is backlash toward the people who organized this GoFundMe, essentially saying that celebrities should not be e-begging, like that they are not entitled to money from middle-class people if they are celebrities who are not wanting for anything. However, that makes a lot of assumptions. I think people do assume that all actors are just unbelievably wealthy. And for a lot of them, especially in TV, that's not true.
No, if you're one of the lucky ones, if you're like a David Boreanaz or a Shamar Moore who have literally just gone from like show to show to show, all of them going like 5 to 7 seasons, you can accumulate a whole ton of money. And even in the James Vanderbeek one, they list these amounts where they're like, he was making $350,000 a year, he was doing this, but they were renting this massive place because they have 6 kids. Also, you've got agents that take a cut, you've got all the people that end up not necessarily working for you, but you don't just do it on your own. You've got a manager, you've got an agent, the people who are out there looking for work for you and stuff like that. And it is one of those things that I've sounded the alarm on before, not because I think that actors are inherently worthy of more sympathy than the average person, but if you're looking to be intellectually honest about this, you can't always just use the excuse that, oh, their life is so great, they've got money. If that was true, a lot of actors wouldn't die young with money of drug addiction and stuff like that. But there's more to it than that. And in this case, it's more complicated.
Well, this was the statement on the GoFundMe page. It's with profound sadness that we share the loss of Eric Dane after a hard-fought battle with ALS, leaving behind his devoted wife, Rebecca, and his 2 teenage daughters, Billy and Georgia, who were the center of his world. Following his diagnosis, Eric became a passionate spokesperson for the ALS community, using his voice and platform to advocate for fellow patients and to push for greater awareness. Even as his own health declined, he remained deeply committed to helping others facing the same devastating disease. As his illness progressed far more quickly than anyone could have imagined, Eric's friends have come together to create this GoFundMe to support his girls and their future needs. Any contribution, no matter the size, will help provide stability during this incredibly difficult time and in the future for Eric's wonderful daughters.
Before you go on, we got a 20 here from Francisco Sanchez Jr. says, I'm buried under 2 feet of snow. Blizzards and PCC are a perfect combo. 2 feet of snow is wild.
Especially like when we're getting closer to March. That's crazy.
I was just talking to a friend the other day. He's like, oh, spring's almost here. I'm like, bro, we're in first winter right now. Like, we're in fake spring right now. Yeah. Don't fall for it. Okay.
Yeah, it was right. 70 the other day and now it's in the 20s. Yep. Anyway, they have so far raised $416,000 as I'm looking at it currently. And obviously as it goes on GoFundMe, they start with a smaller goal and then just kind of up the ante. I know that makes it sound cynical, but like that is how it works on GoFundMe. So currently the new goal that they have reached or that they're reaching is $500,000 to support his daughters who are still very young. I don't think that they had any role in, organizing this or launching this, but essentially people are uncomfortable with the idea that celebrities are asking for money from people who have far less means than they do. And Hailey Bieber actually was one of the people who donated with her name public. She donated $20,000 to his GoFundMe. And people responded to this like, oh, it's always celebrities helping each other out, not the common man. They really hate us and they're only out for each other. One person said, rich people are kind of crazy because what do you mean his friends set up a GoFundMe for his daughters even though their dad was loaded and their mom is currently dating a billionaire? LMFAO. That's ridiculous. Now, I don't know if their stepfather is a billionaire. I looked into that briefly, and he is a restaurateur who is the co-founder of the Hard Rock Cafe, and he's in his 70s.
Yeah.
That could mean, of course, he is extravagantly wealthy, but I don't know if that means that he's a billionaire. He'd have to be very smart to like maneuver his way into billionaire status, but I'm not sure that's true. Regardless, it is fairly obvious that they're not in dire need of financial support. Okay, like that. Am I like out of line for saying that? I think that much is clear. They're not in need of money from a GoFundMe campaign.
So I'm more shocked by the willingness to do it. Like for me personally, I can't. I wouldn't be able to, and it's possible that they just don't have any problem doing so. But there could be expenses there that we haven't seen, right? Like
that's true. That's true.
But at the same time, my point is to the contrary, which is that the best you can say is no. Like they can put it up there. You can moan and cry about whether they should have done it or not. But in general, most of the time, the people would find other ways to monetize, whether like what James Vanderbeek did. It was so bad for him at the end that he was selling off Dawson's Creek memorabilia to people and stuff like that. But I wonder, so depending on how you feel, how far on the eat the rich scale you are, like up here or down here, there are plenty of people who are well-adjusted individuals who you wouldn't imagine would care, but they're like, you know what? I love this guy's stuff growing up. I was a huge fan of, I guess, Grey's Anatomy, so you donate to it. It seems weird to you and I. I wouldn't do it, but I guess who am I to say don't? It doesn't bother me. Like, to me, you can champion this cause as a failure by just not doing it. Not donating to it.
I get that, like, everyone's money and what they do with it is their call and their business. And I'm sure Hailey Bieber donates to plenty of other causes that she's not going to get credit for just because of this one instance where she's helping a fellow celebrity.
Who is that guy? Did you see that story the other day? Did you see that story the other day about the guy from like, was it like Community or Big Bang Theory, who like spends his time donating anonymously to GoFundMes? I gotta see.
Yeah, it was
what was his
I
name?
forget the character's name, but he was in Big Bang Theory, had insane residuals from it, I'm sure, and he anonymously donates to GoFundMe campaigns for normal people all the time.
Kunal Nair.
Yes, exactly. It does rub me the wrong way. I'm not gonna lie. In Eric Dane's case, actually, it appears that James Vanderbeek's situation was different, and we'll get into that in a second. Another celebrity GoFundMe that I just saw was for Miss J. Alexander, who was one of the judges on America's Next Top Model, who suffered a stroke and many complications after the stroke, and people, again, said the same thing. We're not going to donate to a celebrity for any reason, regardless of the context. And as for James Vanderbeek, The Hollywood Reporter published this piece a couple of days ago titled, "Did James Vanderbeek Really Die Broke?" And they go into as much detail as is publicly available about his finances.
It's pretty in-depth.
And they, of course, don't know all of the treatments that he turned to during the 3 years that he was fighting cancer. So it's impossible to know how much money he actually spent. But the reality is he did pay out of pocket for alternative treatments that were not covered by the health insurance that he has through or had through SAG.
Yeah, they have to make, I think the minimum requirement is they have to make about 28 grand a year working at SAG. Thank you. Guys.
And he did meet that threshold.
Yes. And that is true of Eric Dane as well, who has stuff shot for the upcoming season of Euphoria.
Yes, but if James Vanderbeek were desperate enough to turn to treatments overseas, treatments that are non-traditional or holistic or homeopathic, whatever buzzword, and it is likely that he did because of him and his wife's public associations with like Maha, then he wouldn't have had that covered by his health insurance, and he might have dropped a shocking amount of money on it. Now, at this point, his GoFundMe has raised more than $2.7 million, which a lot of people just think is outrageous.
Let me give you some context from the Vanderbeek article. It says they were talking about like what he was likely making per show, whatever it was. It says, this is in regards to Dawson's Creek. It says, this was a Kevin Williamson script, and every actor we cast was essentially unknown. Katie Holmes was cast from a home video at her kitchen counter. I can't imagine James had any points. Another knowledgeable source believes that Vanderbeek likely started the series at scale, got bumped up to something like $35,000 an episode, and in later seasons pocketed closer to $200,000. But residuals back then were notoriously stingy, particularly for new talent. So when the series ended in 2003, there wasn't a whole lot of ongoing revenue. There was no residual money, Vanderbeek bluntly said in an interview in 2014. I was 20. It was a bad contract. After Dawson's Creek, he worked steadily, but not in the sort of long-running hit vehicles that mint fortunes. Kind of like what I was saying earlier about the likes of like a Shamar Moore, who went from like, first of all, he did a whole bunch of daytime TV. And he goes Criminal Minds, and he goes to SWAT. Now they're doing a SWAT spinoff with him again. They just changed the name of the show so they can cast other actors as well. It says 26 episodes of Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23, CSI Cyber, 8 episodes of Pose, along with film roles such as Varsity Blues and Rules of Attraction that kept him visible without necessarily delivering Marvel-level paydays. His 2019 turn on Dancing with the Stars would have been a bigger jackpot if he had made it past the semifinals. Reported figures suggest he likely earned about $250,000. Now that's a lot of money to me. That's a lot of money to most people. But if you're living in Calabasas or somewhere in California, unfortunately, to them, it's just not.
Well, the reality for him and his family is that they lived in Austin starting in 2020, I believe. And a lot of people misinterpreted this and thought that he bought the ranch where they lived.
No, they were renting.
It was being rented and also sometimes leased out as a wedding venue. And that wasn't cheap either. But they say that he had purchased the place just before his death for $4.8 million, and that turned out to be only half true. Reps for the actor told People that he secured a down payment for the ranch for the family with the help of friends through a trust so they could shift from rent to mortgage. But the rumors that he had that kind of money fired up the online criticism of his GoFundMe page to the point where Vanderbeek's friend and fellow actor Mikad Brooks felt compelled to respond, saying, "You have no idea, WTF, you're talking about. You have no idea the pain they went through. It's okay to shut the F up when you can't know what the F you're talking about."
There's a 20 here from Pop Culture Junkie. Says, my first career was in New York in the pre-digital photography era, shooting catalogs and some occasional lower tier magazine covers and spreads. Realized I would never get really good and got back to my first love, TV production. Well, okay. Thank you.
I just think that in Eric Dane's case, it's not as justifiable as it is in James Vanderbeek's case.
Doesn't have the 6 kids. Wife clearly is doing fun. Remember, Rebecca Gayheart was an actress in her own right. So she's not likely hurting for money in any way, shape, or form. On top of, like, I don't even want to put in, like, the boyfriend or whatever, because I don't think that's even a fair comparison to make quite yet. If they were married, I think that might be a little bit different. I'm just going to give a little bit more context on Vanderbeek, because they try to basically point out that, like, he likely wasn't destitute. It says, none of this suggests that Vanderbeek was anything like destitute. Yes, there were some IRS issues in the early 2020s. He reportedly owed and eventually paid an overdue balance of $269,000 in taxes. Well, that's because the government sucks. But he was a working in-demand actor who just 5 years ago was pulling in good money on the Disney Junior animated preschool series Vampirina. Based on industry norms, his paycheck was for playing Boris the Vampire on 73 episodes. Could have been upwards of $500,000. Last year, he appeared in 2 episodes of Overcompensating in the teen sports romance Sideline 2 in a recurring role on Amazon Prime's Legally Blonde sequel, Elle, which they're still working on. But then they basically do point out raising 6 kids is expensive. Austin is expensive. The place they were living at was expensive, and it all kind of adds up. So it really does kind of end up being, where do you fall in the line? Do you feel it's uncouth for them to ask?
But then most people would say he shouldn't have been living above his means. And I don't think that any struggling, like, working class person is suffering more just because James Vanderbeek's family or Eric Dane's family is suffering less than they otherwise would.
Yeah.
Like, money is fungible. It doesn't work like that. Like, there's not this system where, like, just because one person wins, the other person necessarily loses. It's not a zero-sum game.
Yep.
So
and I guess,
ultimately, it's just like, if that cause speaks to you, then you're going to donate to it.
Well,
it's not wrong.
The idea is
perhaps you could say it's maybe in poor taste if you're not actually as needy as the GoFundMe page suggests, but nobody's dying. Okay. Like the people obviously whose families have lost somebody, they're suffering. still matters despite the fact that they're not homeless on the streets.
Yep. All right, let's move on.
All right. So we have talked about this before. Gwen Stefani has publicly endorsed this app called Hallow multiple times. She got backlash for it every single time. And that started, I believe, during the Advent season in both 2024 and 2025, when she made videos promoting the Hallow app for their Advent challenge. They do this for different liturgical seasons. They have a new one that is for Lent, and they had Gwen Stefani promote it on Ash Wednesday. And she appeared in this video with ashes on her forehead to promote their Lent prayer challenge. So let's watch that video real quick.
I mean, it's 11 seconds. I don't know if I'd call it a video. It's a quick snippet. Here we go.
Hey everyone, I just got my ashes and I'm ready for Lent. This year I'll be doing
the music is just swelling. Oh my goodness.
Hallow's 40-day Lent prayer challenge. It's gonna be incredible. Check it out.
Shane H. Wilder, let me know in the comments what you think about the sound design there. The music was a little bit overpowering. It kind of overdid her voice there. I also suggested earlier to Mary, not to sidebar, but I do like to sidebar. I said that Mary needs to do a video where she goes through all of the celebrity ashes and rates them. You'd have to come up with your own objective rating scale.
Right.
And start giving them a rating of some sort. Also, did you see the thread over the weekend that was going around where some lady was like, I think they said in Brazil they don't do this or something like that. And she's like, Catholics make it performative because it's in the U.S. But I guess where this person was from, they sprinkle the ashes on you. They don't put it on your forehead.
A big whoop. People just want to be mad about something. That's so dumb.
Continue.
Well, I mean, Hallow is soaring in popularity, and they actually advertised during the Super Bowl this year. That's how much revenue they're bringing in. It is hugely popular, probably the most popular Christian app that has ever existed to date. And they have had multiple celebrity endorsements, not just Gwen Stefani. They also work with Mark Wahlberg and Jonathan Rumi and Chris Pratt, to name a few. They have in the past partnered with Liam Neeson, although that became a controversy in and of itself due to Liam Neeson's public pro-choice beliefs. So they backed off from that partnership due to backlash from Christians. This time, though, they're getting backlash from secular people who find the entire concept of the Hallow app abhorrent and morally reprehensible, and they're hating on Gwen Stefani for promoting it. They're calling it pay to pray. And the framing of this caption is just incredible. Gwen Stefani promotes her anti-abortion pay to pray app for Lent.
Okay, before we get into all that, can you dispel some rumors? So do you actually have to pay for the Hallow app, or is there like a free version?
Nope, there is a free version, not just a free trial. You can use the app in a limited fashion for free. And they couldn't be more clear about the mission behind the company. The founder, whose name unfortunately is Alex Jones, by the way, has been very clear about this. He has been interviewed about the concept behind the app many times and said repeatedly that Hallow is not necessary. It is not necessary to have an app to pray. Obviously, praying is free. Obviously, it's accessible to you, and you do not need this accessory to pray. Like, he's been very clear about that. If you don't need or want Hallow, don't download it. You do not need it. But if it helps you, that's great. That's why it exists. And it does help a lot of people. And they have plenty of testimonials to show that it is doing just that. And yeah, there's another criticism that is lobbed at them often. Why do you need celebrities to promote it? Well, again, you don't need celebrities to promote it, but it helps. Like, this is very logical.
That's a very ridiculous question.
Bringing out some serious, like, emotional baggage from people.
Literally
that has nothing to do with the app itself.
Every brand understands that a product doesn't necessarily need a celebrity endorsement, but having them helps.
Yes. It definitely adds to the credibility and visibility of the service that they're providing, and they are adding value to people's lives, and they should be compensated for their work. It's a whole company. They have employees that dedicate their lives to this. Like, they deserve to be paid for their work. They have, a marketing team, and they have web developers, and they have graphic designers and sound design, and the level of production. People don't really think about this, but there are hundreds of people involved in a project like this to make it possible, and they deserve to be paid for their work. I don't see what's so wrong with that, what's so unethical about that, just because it's a Christian company. And I think that's really what's going on here, is it brings out this vitriol from people who hate religion. That's really what it is. And they're especially mad that, some celebrity they otherwise would idolize and worship, in a sense, is not on their team anymore. Gwen Stefani being one of the examples of that. Here were a couple of responses. One person, this is just insane, said, profiting off of punk, rebellion, multiculturalism, and diversity to become a millionaire and then stabbing us in the back, delivering the final blow to women and to those of us who supported her. That's really low, Gwen.
Somebody should tell this lady to calm down.
Like, get a real problem. You feel personally betrayed by Gwen Stefani because she's Christian?
Is Gwen Stefani even openly pro-life? Has she ever even made a comment on such a thing? I bet you she hasn't.
I doubt that she has. I think that if she did, we would know. Correct me
if I'm wrong, but the vast majority of Christians today are pro-choice anyways. Right?
That is true. Although she is outspokenly Catholic and being involved in Hallow, they wouldn't work with her if she were just pro-choice.
Okay. Yeah.
In any public sense. Okay, That's why they cut ties with Liam Neeson.
But she hasn't spoken on it.
Exactly.
At least from anything that I've seen, probably because she's a shrewd businesswoman who knows that speaking on it would cause her problems. Yeah. So if anything, I would say that the devoted Catholics might have an issue with the fact that she's willing to take the money from Hallow, but not willing to be more vocal about one of the strongest tenets of their faith.
Well, I think that just from a pragmatic perspective, if you're trying to get as many eyeballs as possible on this project, you shouldn't bog it down with political issues. It's implicit already in the mission behind the company that they don't support abortion because it's founded and run by Catholics.
There's a 20.
That's not a secret. We have a 20 from Shane H. Wilder. The music was a bit overpowering. I do love Hallow, and this challenge is going through Dostoevsky's The Brothers Karamazov through the lens of The Prodigal Son. I do have the paid version. It's only $99 a year. I use it daily.
I watched this video. I don't even know how I can explain this. There's a wrestler named Mercedes Moné. She used to be Sasha Banks in WWE. I guess she has like a texting service that you can sign up for where she will text you, and it costs $99 a month, I think.
See, that's the type of thing that you do as a celebrity or influencer and get basically no pushback on it. But the second that you support something that is
$99 a month
affiliated with faith or religion or real values, that's when people are going to jump down your throat. Another person said, lock her up in a psych ward urgently. Another said, wow, another once beloved music artist being shown to be yet another cash grabbing opportunist. F you, see you next Tuesday. Another viral response said, it's so cool how everything is either a scam or designed to take away human rights now.
So I guess they're talking about abortion? Is that
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they say that because not only is Hallow run by Catholics, but also they do have some material on the app that is related to the pro-life issue. So there are like prayers for mothers of unplanned pregnancies. Like, okay, that's somehow a scheming plot to take away human rights. Like, if that's what they're referring to, I'm not even going to take that seriously. And then also to call it a scam, as I have said already, it takes an overactive imagination. People are just pulling reasons out of thin air to object to this from all sides. both religious people and atheists are objecting to the mission behind Hallow. And this is just what happens when you try to do anything. Like, people are just going to be from the sidelines jeering at you and criticizing when they're not doing anything.
I do also want to address a comment made in the chat over on YouTube. Somebody said, well, she's divorced and married to another dude, so she was granted an annulment from what I remember. She was married to Gavin Rossdale.
She was, yeah.
She got an annulment. I don't remember what all the details were on that, but you know, that falls into the purity testing category of these things.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, okay, so now you have to be Mother Teresa to, like, you know, be a person of public faith. Like, I just don't agree with that. And also, I think this did come up the last time we talked about Gwen Stefani, her divorce. I think the fact that she actually pursued and got an annulment for her previous marriage actually proves that she cares about Catholic teaching on marriage.
Rather than just remarrying.
Otherwise, she would just ignore it and get married outside of the church. It wouldn't matter at all.
What about the fact that this is attached to Peter Thiel, which plenty of people also have a problem with?
That information I did come across. He, I forget the amount, but he donated some number of millions to one of the funding campaigns for Hallow, maybe in 2024. I forget what year it was, but he did. I really don't think that that's an indictment of Hallow, though. Like, there are plenty of reasons to criticize Peter Thiel and other projects that he has funded, but this one,
yeah.
I mean, when we get to that criticism, then I would like to know how people think Hallow had to, like, change its mission and purpose and business model to appease Peter Thiel. Because oftentimes these billionaires like Peter Thiel, they kind of do this scattershot tactic of funding where they kind of just throw seed money at a variety of different projects to see what sticks. And usually it's not with the intention or plan to see that money returned to them. Evie has gotten similar criticism because although Evie magazine itself hasn't been funded by Peter Thiel, the side project started by Brittany Hugaboom called 28 Wellness got seed funding from Peter Thiel. And I don't think that that's an indictment of the project itself.
Can I ask a question? What is the difference between the paid version and the free version?
Well, I used to use the free version of Hallow. I don't have it on my phone anymore, so I wouldn't be able to check what the parts of the app that are behind the paywall, like how they differ from the free version.
You only get Jonathan Rumi in the free version.
Like, I think that often people use it to just get like daily mass readings or like audiobook versions of scripture or podcasts or you know, you can listen to the rosary, just like basic stuff like that, but the extras cost money. And a lot of people think that it's a worthwhile trade-off. So, I mean, big whoop. Like, I don't really understand why this makes people so angry. Yeah. Like, you're not paying to pray. You're paying for a tool that makes prayer easier for some people. And if you're not one of those people, I don't see how it affects you.
I think that there's a fundamental distinction between like the type of mindset a person has. An extremely pro-capitalist person says, you know, what value are you adding to the market, right? So this is adding a certain level of value to people, and they're basing it solely on the, you know, the quote unquote value of the service. In this case, if it makes prayer easier for someone and it's something they deem a worthy expense, that's like the thing I'm most pragmatic about in the world, which is like, if it offers me something, and I say this all the time with movies from people that probably would, don't give money to people who hate you. It's like, it's a pragmatic exchange of goods for services, right? You make something I want to consume or, you know, buy, and I will pay you for it. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. In this case, you know, if you're religious and this is something that helps you, why not? It's not like you can't go buy a copy of the Bible right now and do it the old-fashioned way. But this is just simply another service to be offered. I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, I think we need to find a cure for Hallow derangement syndrome.
All right, let's move on. What would you like to see, cringe or cute of the day?
Let's see the cringe first. Okay. Let's return to form here.
It says
this is return of Teddy.
It says letting my teddy bear riz chicks.
It's great. I promise it's great.
Hi, my name is Teddy Tim, and I think you guys are smoking. Bruh. Smoking hot. Woo! Can I sing for you guys? Please?
You need to leave!
I belong with you! You belong with me, my sweet heart! I belong with you! You belong with me, my sweet heart!
I mean, you really hit that note.
The editing is doing a lot of the work in this. Like, there's like some time was put into this. Also, I am less judgmental of this gentleman because he's found a way to not put himself on camera while doing it, which is a pro tip on his part, to do the cringiest shit but not have to like put yourself on camera.
Well, he is on camera in some of the videos, just not this.
I think this is the part where he asks for y'all's phone numbers.
Did he get any phone numbers? Do we know?
Please? Is that a yes? No? After I passionately I sang for you guys?
Damn, he turned into Kermit at the end there.
Hey, enough is enough. That's totally unacceptable. Bend over. You're getting spanked.
This part is crazy.
It's advertised as Ray-Ban Meta glasses.
You should apologize to them and give them a big hug. I'm sorry. I don't think they want a hug. Let's go. Be better next time. Let's just find some other baddies. You better not crash out this time.
Okay. Yeah, if you went in for the hug there, we'd be this dude's going to jail.
This is what Gen Z calls free will activities. Just using your free will to its fullest extent.
You can just do things.
You can just do things, and this is one of those things.
All right, let's do the cringe of the day. My goodness, that was ridiculous. This one is from James Pauly. It says, "This is Margot napping in the shop. It's a lab husky mix. Excuse me. She got her name from a TV show we were watching when we got her. She has the two different color eyes, characteristic of the husky. Left brown, right very pale blue. Her name comes from Margot in the show The Magicians. If you know, you know. I've never watched Magicians, but it sits there on Amazon Prime, and I've almost watched it like 3 times and never followed through.
So we're looking at a fellow heterochromia sibling. You might be distantly related to Margot.
We could be. I look like that when I get up in the morning, so that's totally plausible. All right, guys, as always, make sure to submit your pets, because everybody loves to brag about their pets, on X, at Brett Dasovic on there. Put a picture of the pet in, perhaps some type of story you would like to share, and then use the tag PCC Pets. Thank you, guys.
Major scandal at the BAFTAs, guys, and everyone is arguing over who is the victim in this story. It's absolutely ridiculous. So there was this movie that was nominated at the BAFTAs called I Swear, which was a biopic based on the life of a real person who suffers from Tourette's syndrome. And his name is John Davidson. And ironically, the actor who played him actually won Best Actor for his lead role in I Swear last night. But it was overshadowed by a scandal caused by John Davidson himself, who was seated in the audience during the presenters awarded, while they were presenting awards. Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo were on stage, and you can hear in the broadcast John Davidson in the background screaming the N-word. And he obviously did not intend to do that. That's kind of the point of getting the diagnosis of Tourette's, is that you have verbal tics that you cannot control. So I'm not seeing why anyone is surprised that this happened. Now there are demands for apologies. There are demands for community training and all of these demands for censorship. And also, you know, people are arguing about whether it's ableist to invite him or if it's ableist to disinvite him. And it's just turned into this absolute shitstorm where people are arguing over who is placed higher on an oppression totem pole. Is it Black men or is it a white man who has a disability? I think we found out who wins, but here is the censored version of the broadcast. I didn't want to show the actual video.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
Delroy and I are delighted to be presenting the
awkward
first BAFTA
silence
of the night for a vital part of movie making.
And then you can see on their faces, they heard it. You know that they heard it.
They definitely heard it.
And when I saw the clip, I thought that they were holding back laughter. Granted, nervous laughter doesn't mean they actually thought it was funny, but they didn't seem like they were traumatized by what they heard. And I think they were probably aware that someone with Tourette's was in the audience.
No, so they were given warnings ahead of time on the show.
Yes. Everyone
in the audience was given warnings ahead of time on the show because this gentleman is the real life person featured from the movie, I swear. So I think the craziest part about this whole story, now tell me if I'm wrong here, whatever you think of all of this, the fact that this was a pre-record and they left it in there is wild.
Yeah, so it's not broadcasted live, although if it were, there would have been enough of a delay to bleep it out.
Exactly. Well, that's
but it was pre-recorded.
And they cut out another creator saying Free Palestine. So they know where their priorities are, apparently. But for some reason, they left it in there so it could be disseminated as social media clips and turned into content. I can't think of one good reason why you leave it in there unless it's just to profit off of it or benefit from it.
Well, I don't know. I think maybe one of the reasons why they felt like it should be left in is because of the subject matter of the movie, and it's about like raising awareness, right? They might feel like, you know, in order to raise awareness about this disorder, you know, censoring the things that he says as a result of his verbal tics kind of defeats the purpose.
That's what the movie is for.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what the movie is for. No, and the other thing is,
I don't doubt what you're saying. I think they do want the publicity.
He also didn't just do this to them. He did it to like the head of the BAFTA organization. He told her to shut the fuck up and called it boring. Like he interrupted multiple people throughout the show. This was not a one-time thing.
But he didn't. That's the thing about his diagnosis, is that he says things that he legitimately doesn't mean. It doesn't reflect the actual
absolutely.
But that's now, you know, people are saying that, you know, it's really telling that he even has that word in his vocabulary.
As if he
must
just
be
never
privately
heard it
racist, and that's revealing his true feelings about Black people, which is just a ridiculous assumption.
Or you listen to rap music growing up.
Yeah, it's probably the best argument. Like the reaction to this scandal is probably the best argument for raising awareness about Tourette's syndrome, because clearly people are not educated about this topic. And afterwards, the BAFTA's host, Alan Cumming, had to deliver a response. And he said, "You may have noticed some strong language in the background there. This can be part of how Tourette's syndrome shows up for some people as the film explores that experience." He said he's sorry if anyone was offended and that the tics are involuntary. I can't believe that even needs to be said. And then the actor who played John Davidson, named, I think it was Robert, I can't pronounce his last name, Aramayo? Robert Aramayo?
Yeah.
He defended John Davidson and said, first of all, there are tics. He is ticking. We have to understand the way we perceive Tourette's is a joint responsibility. It's not shouting obscenities. It's not being abusive. It's Tourette's. They are tics. If it can lead to a deeper understanding of Tourette's, and movies are part of that conversation, then that's an incredible thing. But then we also saw a response from was it Michael B. Jordan or
no, from Delroy Lindo.
So Delroy Lindo basically said, you know, he didn't really say much. He was just saying, we did what we had to do. We got through the moment. And I guess we just wish that somebody in the BAFTAs team spoke to us afterwards, but it's fine.
How do you feel about that? Do you think that, I mean, as an organization, right, is the organization, should they feel required to talk to them after the fact?
No, that's ridiculous. Honestly, like everyone, they're just asking to have these actors be babied. Actually, like that's like sad. That's pathetic.
Well, did they ask the woman? Or did they ask the woman, like, are you okay after he told her to shut the F up and that this was boring? He's being rude to everybody, and you know.
But that's the thing. He's not being rude. Like that,
you know what I mean. You're saying like it's being taken as rude, and that's not the fact of the matter. The question that they would have had is like the actors have to decide whether they are okay with being in a setting where they're possibly going to have something said to them, because that's what inclusion is in this case. That's what this is, actual inclusion.
And they're only dedicated to inclusion when it is comfortable for them and when it's about including them and whatever minority group they belong to. But when it comes to something like this, it's a different story. A couple of the replies here said, Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo really held themselves well after hearing someone shout the N-word at them while presenting. While John Davidson can't help it due to his condition, it was a hard watch to see the pain in their eyes on stage. The pain in their eyes. I didn't see pain in their eyes. I think they were just doing their job and brushed it off. Like it's not a big deal. And you know, some people felt performatively offended on their behalf, including a production designer on Sinners who attended last night. Hannah Beechler, she said, I keep trying to write about what happened at the BAFTAs and I can't find the words. The situation is almost impossible, but it happened 3 times that night. And one of the 3 times was directed at myself on the way to dinner after the show. And a 3rd time at a Black woman. I understand and deeply know why this is an impossible situation. I know we must handle this with grace and continue to push through, but what made the situation worse was the throwaway apology of if you were offended at the end of the show. Of course we were offended, but our frequency, our spiritual vibration is tuned to a higher level than what happened. I am not steel. This did not bounce off of me, but I exist above it. It can't take away from who I am as an artist.
So what is the proper level of apology, I guess, is my question. Like what would have been the proper apology to them? Because first of all, you're not going to know whether they apologize to them after the fact, because it's possible that apology to Lindo and to Michael B. Jordan came today after the fact. Who knows? But it's also performative.
They're not owed an apology. And if this guy who suffers from Tourette's were required to apologize every time that he shocks or offends anyone, he would have no time left in his day to just exist as a human being. So no one's owed an apology. I guess the only reason anyone would be owed an apology is if they didn't get a forewarning beforehand.
Correct.
And they did. So no apologies needed. Get over it. Get over yourselves. Jamie Foxx even said that John Davidson meant that shit. Yeah. What an ignorant thing to say, and just so like proudly ignorant as well. Like so arrogant and know-it-all. Just no.
Did he also mean it when he said it to the lady? Like was that also what it was? Like don't just leave it at one, say it about everybody else. Did he also mean it when he said it to the head of the BAFTAs? Or is it only true in this case?
Another response to this said, Tourette's or not, it always falls on Black people to hold it together and be the bigger person and be understanding and make accommodations for everyone else. It's effing exhausting.
In this case, it is incumbent on literally every able-bodied person there to rise above and just accept that this person has a disability and you're not being hurt in any way. Words aren't going to hurt you.
Yeah, I mean, famously, the burden always falls on Black people to hold it together and be understanding and make accommodations for everyone, right?
So what was the name of the? So this is a specific subset of Tourette's. What's it called again? Coprolalia.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's the subset of Tourette's that involves verbal tics that are often, vulgar or offensive.
Yeah.
Some of the tics for most people who have Tourette's, it's like facial movements or, maybe like clicking or whistling or something like that. That is not going to be nearly as debilitating, but he has a very extreme form of it. And
which is the point. That was the point.
I don't know. I
movie.
think like that's hard enough without people dragging you on like a world stage, and this guy isn't even like famous in that way. He's not a celebrity. It's hard enough living with that condition. Do you really need to make it harder on the guy by like accusing him of secretly being racist? That's insane. And then, there were so many calls for basically saying it was a mistake to invite him to the ceremony.
Yeah, they were calling for segregation.
Which, by the way, is like, I'm pretty sure illegal, right? Is that not illegal? That is legally discrimination.
Well, I mean, there's no way to prove it, right? All I have to do is just not invite him. Like, there's no way to prove that. But
then again, it would just completely defeat the purpose behind making the movie about this guy's life.
Yeah.
Which is meant to destigmatize and raise awareness about his condition.
It does make me wonder, combine that with the fact that they left it in despite the fact that this was on a delay and this wasn't a live broadcast, if this wasn't a little bit planned by the...
I hadn't considered that like what you said. I hadn't considered that they left it in on purpose for negative publicity.
I don't see any reason why. Like, I understand the argument that you leave it in there because this is the truth of the matter and we're not going to go around it. I get that. But also, like, if you're an adult and, like, I don't know if your children are watching the frickin' BAFTAs or something like that and they're hearing stuff like that, certainly bad language is something they're supposed to edit around regardless of context. In fact, having a disability does not actually give you a unique right to swear on live, wherever this was being broadcast. So depending on where you fall in the social justice argument, that doesn't make any sense either.
I think this happened. This similar controversy fell on a streamer.
Yes.
Last year, maybe the year before last.
Who was the one lady? It was Anita. Anita?
Yes. Yeah. That's her screen name. She has Tourette's and she's like a Twitch streamer. And I mean, of course, the fact that she suffers from Tourette's has everything to do with the fact that she's grown such a big following. But she said the N-word as a verbal tic on stream. And similarly, people dragged her for it and expected her to do this mea culpa on camera and apologize profusely for having a disability. And I don't know. I think it's pathetic the way that people are responding to this as if they were personally victimized by this guy. Even if there had been some maniac at the BAFTAs who like barged in and started screaming the N-word, who really doesn't have a disability and is just like crazy and like evil. Again, like, is it the end of the world? No, nobody lost their life. No one was maimed. No one is traumatized by that. Okay, it is a word. It is a word at the end of the day. It's an insulting and vulgar word, but it's a word. And I just don't take anyone seriously who is pretending to be hurt by it.
I did see Grace Randolph go off about this.
Oh my gosh,
it was hilarious, the amount of people who came into her comments to be like, you don't understand what you're talking about.
No, she literally said, like,
she doubled down.
It reflects his inner thoughts, which is reprehensible.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Idiot.
All right, let's move on.
Okay. So we talk a lot about current and former child stars, people who are exposed to the industry of Hollywood at a young and vulnerable age. And a lot of them have already grown up and are talking about this experience, while new child actors are rising to fame. And that includes Sophie Turner, who I didn't even know because I didn't watch Game of Thrones. She joined the cast of Game of Thrones at the age of 13. And recently, in a new interview, revealed some disturbing information about what that was like. I'm sure it was kind of traumatizing on multiple fronts. Firstly, because she was exposed to the graphic sexual content in the show, in the scripts, and also, in the scenes that they filmed, which was kind of a new thing for television at the time, going into the streaming era when you don't have to abide by, obscenity regulations. They basically just made the show porn. And she said that at 13, Game of Thrones was like sex education to her. She said, the first time I ever found out about oral sex was from reading the script. I was like, wow, people do that? Fascinating. And
oh boy.
It is ridiculous that she was not shielded from that as a child actor, but nobody considered her in the process.
I don't even know. So I guess the idea is like, so they just chose no path forward, where it's like theoretically you could have edited her scripts and then relied on, I guess, her parents to be like, hey, I know she's in the show, but don't let her watch this shit.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it is the parents' responsibility.
Correct.
And I think that it's production's responsibility to give her a version of the script that isn't inappropriate for children. But they didn't consider her at all in the process. And in that same interview, she started talking about what it was like to join a TV show at the turning point where mass adoption of social media took place. Because it was around the time when most people started buying smartphones. And it feels like a distant memory now, but it actually wasn't that long ago. Mm-hmm. She said that her confidence plummeted the more hellish social media became. She said, I think social media was just really becoming a big thing after I started on Game of Thrones. So I got a couple of years of peace and quiet, and then I had to adjust. It had such a profound impact on my mental health, more than I could tell you. It almost destroyed me on numerous occasions. Turner started to suffer from anxiety, depression, and an eating disorder. She basically said that she was exposed to people saying vulgar and hateful things about her online when social media became this massively popular thing, and it wasn't something that people were equipped to handle. And then she started talking about the new cast of the Harry Potter series that's going on HBO, and they're all like 10, 11 years old, and they don't know a world without social media.
Nope.
Essentially. So this is something that they're going to have to be either intentionally shielded from or thrown into, caution to the wind. And she said she worries for the young stars of today with social media more toxic than ever. I look at the kids who are about to be in the new Harry Potter, and I just want to give them a hug and say, it's going to be okay, but don't go anywhere near social media. Stay friends with your home friends. Keep living at home with your family. Make sure your parents are your chaperones. It's so important to have that grounding adjacent to the big, crazy stuff that you do. And she said when they asked what would she do if her own children wanted to follow in her footsteps and go into acting, she said basically that they are forbidden from doing so. Yep. And that speaks volumes. And it's a not so subtle jab at the parenting decisions of the parents of the kids in the Harry Potter series. She's saying, like, you're making a mistake.
I wonder if, like, look, the celebrities of old, they're kind of like that generation, kind of like the millennials who got both the internet age and life before the internet. But there's like the older celebrities now who are old enough to still need to use, young enough to still need to use social media, but old enough to remember, that there was a time when they didn't need to. There are some celebrities that are old enough where you just, like, William Shatner doesn't need an X account. He has one, but he doesn't need one to be William Shatner, right? But there was a whole generation of celebrities that just never needed it, never knew how important it would end up becoming to their careers. And they probably do feel cheated in a way. They're like, I had it made. I had nothing but yes men that surrounded me. Anybody that took the time to get a hold of me clearly liked me enough to reach out in a way that was not simply like click on a profile and send a message or write a hateful comment under a trailer or something like that. They got all of the good and very little of the bad. And now the new generation will have never lived in a world where that was even possible.
Yeah. And, it was literally the same day that the casting announcements were made for Harry Potter, that these kids started getting ruthlessly bullied. Like,
Yep.
They didn't miss a beat. It was just immediately these kids were getting bullied just for how they look. And we're talking about 5th graders.
Yep.
Like, they're learning fractions and shit.
Yeah.
And they're getting cyberbullied for, like, their haircuts by grown-ass adults on social media. Obviously, they shouldn't be exposed to that. Ideally, it wouldn't happen at all. But the best solution that anyone can come up with is, like, don't let them have phones. Don't let them have internet access. And there's only so much you can do, because eventually, when it comes to promoting the show, they're going to be thrown into shark-infested waters with journalists who have bad intentions and don't care about them.
Well, no, okay, so
Daniel Radcliffe.
The point. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, Daniel Radcliffe was recently, talking about the new cast for the series and how he feels as having experienced it himself in the pre-social media age. He said when these kids got cast, there was a whole thing around the internet being like, we have to look after these kids. If you really mean that, then one of the things you can do, and I think he's speaking to the media here, he's speaking to journalists, is don't ask about us, me, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint all the time. I would like to not be weird spectral phantoms in these children's lives. Just let them get on with it. It's going to be a new, different thing. I'm sure Dominic is going to be better than me. And I mean, I think he was just like sugarcoating it a little bit at the end there because, I don't think anything is going to make this show comparable to the movies. But his point is, journalists are going to be farming these kids for engagement and sound bites cynically.
I mean, I don't think that's even a fair comparison. Like, okay, so here's the thing. As I said earlier, I've been watching all these documentaries on the making of the various Batman movies. If a journalist doesn't ask Christian Bale how his Batman compares to Michael Keaton, they're not doing their job. Okay?
Yeah.
If they don't ask Heath Ledger how his Joker performance, compares to Jack Nicholson, they're not doing their job. Now, if you want to make a comment where should these journalists be, and this would be incumbent on the people in charge of PR at Warner Brothers to be like, no questions about J.K. Rowling's political beliefs. I'm fine with that. Okay? It doesn't strictly connect to the show, though there's a very good argument that you could make that it's still news and they have every right to ask. But it's like, are they supposed to ask these 5th graders what their thoughts are on trans ideology? That's ridiculous, but it still would technically be within the scope of their job, which is why we did a video last week about how journalists secretly despise actors. And I'm almost positive that is the truth of the matter. But he's being a bit ridiculous if he believes that they're not going to ask Dominic McLaughlin, how do you think your version of Harry differs from Daniel Radcliffe's? In fact, if anything, that feels like the softball question.
Yeah, it's him kind of not addressing the elephant in the room, of course, which is J.K. Rowling. And
Correct.
That is what journalists should be told explicitly not to ask the kids about. And then he went on to say in the same interview, he spoke about having a conversation with Emma Watson and Rupert Grint about the reboot, specifically, quote, how surreal it is to watch people starting off that journey all those years later. We haven't had a ton of communication about the show specifically, but it's one of those where I think we all just know how the others feel because we're also feeling it. You just see the pictures of these kids and you want to grab them and hug them. That's the impulse that I think we mainly all have. When you're 11 and you're doing something, you're like, of course I'm old enough to do this. I'm the oldest I've ever been. But now when I meet 11-year-olds, I'm like, wow, that seems nuts. Seeing the new cast puts it into perspective. Honestly, it makes me admire my parents more than I was capable of doing at the time. Wow, you got me through something crazy and you did it with a huge amount of humor. It's a big task. So then, he's basically saying, he feels this like protective feeling over the kids, but feels like, it's going to have detrimental effects on them either way. Especially if their parents don't take responsibility for shielding them from all of the negative aspects of being in the public eye. And he also added that he's planning on showing his children the HBO series instead of the films. so that he doesn't have to watch him in the movies, which I think is kind of a self-own. I don't think that that's necessary.
By the time his kids are old enough, he can just AI himself out of it.
Right. But obviously what journalists are tempted to do is politicize the show, and they will be tempted to use the children as instruments to do just that. Mm-hmm. And that's disgusting enough. They also aren't given the, you know, I don't believe they're going to be given the media training they need to handle that situation. And I'm going to show you now a response from another cast member who's playing Lucius Malfoy. This is an adult coming up with his best answer about J.K. Rowling's anti-trans stance. And it's a bunch salad. He said, obviously, there's quite a lot of stuff around J.K. Rowling. I suppose that's been quite interesting to navigate, the conversations there. But all important conversations to have. The people working on this are really, really great and create a really special atmosphere, like Francesca, the showrunner, Mark Mylod, and various directors. There's such care. I'm basically not in the first book. Lucius is hardly in book 1 at all, but I'm in the first series, so it's quite a thing to go do a day and then have a month or so off and come back, and everybody's got these really tight relationships, but it's such a welcoming environment.
When you Google Maps, but you hit stops along the way.
Like, if this is the best answer a grown adult can come up with to a question about J.K. Rowling, please do not expect an 11-year-old to come up with something better.
This is perfect. This is literally like in Pokemon when they do confusion. He literally just talks until they forget what they asked him.
He went like this at the journalist.
Yes, and now they're done. They're like, wait, what question did I just ask? Did I ask him about the show right? Yeah, okay, go on. Like, no, literally,
pulled out the orb of confusion.
This dude is on to something right now. Like, look, I've done this on IRL sometimes, like where I'm just talking and you just keep going. I'm here for it. This guy is a genius.
Could have been better. Could have been a lot worse.
No, wait.
Too.
No, here's the thing. Any direct address of J.K. Rowling will get clipped and put his headlines. So if he's like, it's a complicated situation, all that puts is like, it's complicated. And then people are like, so you've got nuanced takes on trans issues. No, you just go off to right field and then you just look the journalist dead in the eye and you dare them to ask the follow-up.
Yeah.
Like, so what does that have? You dare them to ask the very obvious follow-up that they're not going to ask.
Yeah.
So what the hell does that have to do with J.K. Rowling?
You have to maintain frame. Okay? You cannot let these journalists frame mog you.
Yes.
In an
establish
interview.
Dominance by just confusing them.
And then maybe start like pissing on the floor or something to mark your territory.
Look, and then here's the other thing. They did the same thing at the Berlin Film Festival where like this one journalist kept asking actors like, what do you think about the rise of fascism? And Rupert Grint is like, I don't know. Like, I'm against it, I guess. Like, like I'm not a huge fan of fascism. Like, and then they did the same thing to Ethan Hawke where, okay, so I'll give you an example. Ethan Hawke basically said, this one journalist who's literally a political journalist, not like a movie writer or anything like that. He goes like, well, I don't know why you'd ask a bunch of jet-lagged actors their opinions on politics. Seems silly. And then he goes on this long spiel about the movie he's in. That's why this movie's so great. It's a da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Cinema.
And then at the end, he goes, but of course, anything that's against fascism, I'm for it. So you got two sets of headlines here. One that says, like, Ethan Hawke shreds people, actors talking about politics. Insert first quote. Or Ethan Hawke shreds fascists. Insert second quote. Don't give them either. Just start yammering and rambling.
Just start playing both sides.
No, seriously, just become like, what would my drunk uncle do? What would my drunk uncle do if they asked this question? And then just start yapping.
Yeah. Just initiate a full-on yap session and hope for the best.
Like literally make it so confusing they don't know what part to clip.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good strategy.
All right.
I think we finally cracked the code on that.
We are going to save these actors' lives. All right, let's move on.
Allow me to introduce you to a self-proclaimed professional matchmaker and dating coach for men. Her name is Blaine Anderson, and she's facing a good amount of backlash right now for a recent announcement that she is expanding her business. She is hiring her first full-time team member of Dating by Blaine, and this girl named Alexia will be, as she puts it, an IRL search specialist. She'll visit a different city every week to scout Pilates studios, juice bars, and cute shops for our clients' future wives.
Wait,
Alexia will also document her adventures on a new Instagram, Matchmaking by Blaine, if you want to follow along. Alexia was in New York City last week, then came back to Austin, and she's headed to San Francisco week after next. So this woman is about to embark on a nationwide journey to find eligible matches for a bunch of insanely wealthy men who cannot get dates and don't have enough common sense to realize that this woman is grifting off of them.
So the thing I thought was funniest was like, okay, at first I misread it when I first saw your post about this, and I thought it said that she was going to coffee shops to find the men. I was like,
no.
You're going to find high income men at cute coffee shops? That seems like a stretch, but this makes more sense.
Nope. So to be clear, Blaine Anderson only takes male clients for her matchmaking services. Women do not pay for dates. She only has male customers, and she's very clear about that. And these men pay truly eye-watering amounts on getting dates through her service. I checked her website, which is datingbyblaine.com, and I think she changed the input form, because before it quoted way higher prices that I saw in screenshots. Currently it says, can you comfortably invest in yourself and your dating life? And you have to select from this pre-selected list. I can comfortably invest $1,000 plus in myself. Secondly, it's a stretch, but $1,000 plus isn't out of my budget. Thirdly, that's out of budget, but I could invest $200 in myself. And lastly, I can't invest much right now. So if you don't select the first option, which is throwing down your credit card, no hesitation, she's probably going to throw your application in the trash immediately.
That's a genius move on her part. If speaking from a purely business sense, that's a genius move on her part.
It's kind of wild to think about the target demographic for a service like this, because they are massively overpaid, socially inept tech bros for the most part.
Yeah, it says so down here in the...
cannot score a date on their own by using dating apps or their charms.
It says many of my clients work in finance. Yeah, it says many of my clients.
They're that desperate that they're willing to drop thousands upon thousands of dollars. In some cases, her rates for just one date that she sets up can range from $10,000 to $25,000 per date. That's how much money we're talking about. If you are paying for this service, especially when we get to that level of commitment, you've got to be an absolute freak. Like, I'm sorry, you have to be undateable for very obvious reasons to turn to a solution like this for your problems.
It says if you're...
It's not that hard to find a woman who's interested in you just for your money. So even weeding out gold diggers, even the gold diggers aren't interested in you. That's why you've turned to this as your last resort. Like, that's kind of wild to think about. And, you know, I responded to this announcement about their IRL search specialist. And I said that I personally would immediately assume that Alexia is a human trafficker if she initiated a conversation with me in real life. I would probably start recording her. Like, I would look crazy. I would start recording her with my phone and call the police on her immediately. Like, no hesitation. I would say it's probably better to assume that someone is a human trafficker and be wrong than get human trafficked when you were just trying to be nice. Like, and I'm not even being dramatic here, because what actual traffickers tend to do is they use approachable looking, relatively young, relatively attractive women to recruit victims. And if a woman came up to me and said, "Hi, so my name is Alexia. I work for this matchmaking service where we try to find, you know, a suitable fit for a woman who wants to go on dates with super wealthy guys in your city, and you seem like you would be the perfect match." I would immediately think this is some kind of scheme to put me in a shipping container. I would not even give it a second thought. And anyone who doesn't think that, at least just the tiniest suspicion, that's a woman who doesn't have half a brain. So that's what I was saying. And people did misinterpret me and think that I meant Blaine Anderson's business model is human trafficking. No, I don't actually think Blaine Anderson is a human trafficker. I'm just saying this whole strategy of sending some woman out to like find, you know, girls at Pilates studios and coffee shops, it's not a good strategy. Like, a lot of people are just going to find it incredibly creepy. And if they don't, they're stupid. So there's one issue. A second issue is that Blaine Anderson has a habit of like ritualistically humiliating the men that pay for her services, essentially. So she oftentimes, you know, without naming names, shares a client story with her followers, and it gets a lot of engagement. This was one of her posts. One of my matchmaking clients in New York City, 39 years old, 5'10", bald, has a hot date tonight. The woman is gorgeous, 32 years old, 5'8". I spent an hour on the phone with her, building trust, getting to know her, assessing the fit, and selling him. I didn't mention his lack of hair. She says, "He sounds wonderful, but I'm hesitant to see his photo because I know there's a catch." I send his photo. Long pause. Finally, she says, "Do I think he's hot? Honestly, no. Would I match with him on Raya? Never. But will I meet him for drinks? Yeah, why not? You convinced me." Is this the ideal reaction from a match? No. Is my client hyped about the date anyway? Yes. Do relationships like this ever work out? Also, yes. We'll take it, and before anyone comes at me, I got permission to share this. So, basically, you know, we're talking about the absolute bottom of the barrel specimens. And I have to assume this is a glorified escort service.
I thought the most interesting part of the story you just shared is like the way she's describing the women that they're looking as potential candidates are not necessarily that of wealth and means. But if she's on Raya, wouldn't she be of wealth and means?
Probably comparable in status, maybe not in actual net worth.
Okay.
But
I thought the most interesting part of this was both how they listed the clients and then at the very end. So they do point out that the guys there work in finance, tech, or other analytical fields. Obviously, what they're trying to say is they're in fields that don't necessarily require a lot of socialization. You know, a used car salesman is probably better at understanding the human condition, though not of comparable net worth. But also they put are less experienced, are meeting women, or this one, are short. They put short as the sell in there. Short, tall, white collar, blue collar, white, black, Asian, Indian, shy, outgoing, handsome, unphotogenic, fit, heavy, you name it. And then I love at the end here, it's like the most millennial thing I've ever read. If you're motivated to learn and you're not an asshole, there's a 100% chance we can help.
that was crazy at the end. That was a jump scare.
Yep.
Wow, that was millennial marketing at its finest.
It was.
I have to admit, you know, she's probably rolling in it from this business. Like, it's kind of a genius idea because there are so many overpaid and under-socialized men out there.
Well, she points that out in the what I've learned.
Their own.
Yeah, she points that out in the what I've learned section. She goes, dating is a marketing problem. Yeah, it says dating for men is a marketing problem. If you can't communicate crisply, create chemistry, and put your authentic best foot forward fast, women don't give you the chance you deserve. Great guys often suck at marketing themselves. Marketing yourself isn't something you learn in school, which may explain why so many smart, thoughtful, hardworking men are so bad at it. And you can learn to attract awesome women fast. I mean, that doesn't sound like what she's selling. It sounds like she's selling her ability to market you to women, not teaching you, which is, I guess, I don't know what's worse, actually. If the idea was that a woman was supposed to teach a guy how to, like, hit on women or flirt, that's even worse. But either way.
I think that the guys that are dropping tens of thousands of dollars on services like this either have a humiliation kink or are using this as a prostitution service. Like, call me cynical. I think that this is a thinly veiled escort, like, concierge service. Like, that's what it seems like to me. Because the women don't get a cut of what these men pay Blaine. They're going theoretically, you know, because what they want to, like, get drinks with a rich guy and hopefully sugar off of him for a few months.
This is nothing new. These types of like setup things have gone on for ages, especially in big metropolitan cities. I don't necessarily see that here. I just think that there are guys who would turn to someone and think that they're... Oftentimes it would have been like, I'm busy at work. I don't have time to go out and meet women in public, and dating apps don't work. So this has been a hallmark of, like, high society people for a long time. And it seems like she's trying to weed out regular people by the form at the beginning when it talks about how much you can spend on dating. And it's just a matchmaking service. Like, I don't think that this is anything. Is it cringy? Yes. Does it mean that the guys are probably struggling? Yeah. But nefarious in the sense that the guys are paying a lot of money for it, but they're the type of guys that have a lot of money to do it.
One response to this story that Blaine shared said, what Blaine Anderson and other matchmakers are doing is highly unethical and should be investigated by the FCC. He even tagged the chairman of the FCC, Brendan Carr, in this tweet. Blaine charges $15K plus for matchmaking services, setting up rich men with women who they cannot attract IRL or on apps. These women do not pay and hence see this as an opportunity to go on fancy dates and extract resources without having to give anything in return. After the dates, the girls tell Blaine, yeah, he's a nice guy, but not a romantic fit. Note that there is no refund for failure. The guys pay for a guaranteed number of first dates over a certain time period. If a guy has to pay this much money to go on dates, he has major problems he needs to address. The girls are not attracted to them. Blaine exploits this asymmetry, preys on the men's insecurities to make money. I basically agree with that take. But is that, like, overly cynical?
I don't think it's illegal. I don't think anything we're seeing here is illegal. If all they're being told is they're going to get a first date and they get a first date, are they entering into a really, really overpriced, shitty agreement? Sure, but they're not being misled about what's happening.
Oh, no, I'm not. I didn't mean that I agree with the part that it's, like, illegal. I think it's unethical and I think it's misleading. And I think that she's well aware of that fact.
I mean, that's why she's chosen the clientele that she has, right? I mean, you could make the argument that every dating app these days is doing something unethical because of the way it seems to be weeding people out on there. Certainly the short men over on Tinder are not exactly loving the ratio right now. Not to mention that they put a height, like a lot of those things have a height filter but no weight filter. So there's some unethical things going around on all of these dating apps. But in American society now, the way that men and women have grown further and further apart and relationships have really, really struggled, there's going to be somebody trying to fill that market with some service. And if the guy gets the first date, and the funny thing is there have been movies and television shows that have done versions of this storyline, usually with a well-meaning matchmaker and a guy who's kind of bumbling but worth a lot of money, who's just looking to meet somebody. So it's been softened in the media in the past as something less than nefarious. And honestly, if the dude's got the money and he's found his he's the type of dude who can make that type of cash, he's got the brain. Maybe he's not the most social person, but he understands risk and he understands how money works. So I don't have any sympathy for him either.
Makes perfect sense that the first cities she's hitting are Austin and San Francisco.
110%.
Of course. Especially San Francisco.
San Francisco more than Austin,
Yeah, like in the dating scene in San Francisco is inherently lopsided because there's just literally like a probably 60-40 ratio of men to women, if not more extreme.
Serial Killer in the chat is correct. He says the multiple dates part is nefarious. So yeah, a guaranteed amount of first dates. So do they get like say the first one works out, right? And they're like, boom, we're getting married. This is great. Do they get the refund on the rest of that? Or is that some type of bonus that you then have to pay to Blaine or whoever because it worked out? That would be interesting.
I don't think that I don't think she makes money anymore if they actually find love. That's kind of the problem. Right? If it turns into a success story, that means it's just a revenue stream that was cut off for her. So she's not incentivized to actually get people together.
In the chat, Ornery Overwatch says, we need to get a guy who runs a dating service where he just tells these wealthy men to avoid services like Brett's. I don't know who that is if you're talking about me. And it
Blaine.
just it must mean Blaine, and just gets out and develops some social skills. Well, okay, so then there's a whole market for that as well, of men who try to teach other men how to be social in public. Guess what? The older you get, the harder it gets. Like, those are skills that are born and developed when you are young, when your brain is still forming. It gets unbelievably difficult to change that part of your brain as you get older.
That's true.
And the funny thing is, I was mentioning it to Mary earlier. I said, just the fact that these guys are worth the money they are means that something about it is pretty crazy, because usually that amount of wealth is enough to give you even a false sense of confidence in your own skills, right?
But it's not, though. Like, I imagine that the men paying for this service have very low self-esteem.
It's you know what this proves is that the only ones who ever benefited from tons of money in this case was the Wall Street bros, because they were already personable by nature, because they were all were all jocks and and bullies in high school and college. So they got all the money and the social skills.
Yeah, it's the tech bros that lose in this story. They're the ones who get the short end of the stick.
Yep. It's like I said, I don't want to infantilize these men. They've got lots of money. They understand the risks they're entering into in this agreement. It's not to say that what I think she's doing is necessarily classy, but these men know what they're getting into. Unless they come back later and they're like, actually, in the fine print here, you got to pay another 20 grand. Unless there's something weird like that, then a fool and his money are easily parted. So.
Very true. Okay, let's take a look at these super chats.
There's a 20 there. Yeah, I don't think that 20 is showing up for you there from Pop Culture Junkie.
No, not yet.
Says, my marketing sense is that the high prices that she is charging is what attracts the high net worth men. These are people who attach money to likely success. My scam-o-meter is going off. Well, then it depends on what your definition of a scam is. Like, is she selling, like, by the third, sign up for my service and you'll be married in under a year? Unless she's selling them an outcome beyond just the first day, just a date, I don't see the scam. Not classy, but not a scam.
It's not that I'm saying it's a scam. It's not that I'm infantilizing the men who pay for her services. I just think that it's skeezy.
Yeah. No, I said not classy at all. Yeah. Absolutely. But, I like tagging tagging Brendan Carr in there.
That was ridiculous.
Is
yeah.
like,
as if he is going to waste his time looking into this.
Well, I mean, the Trump administration spends a lot of their time arguing on social media with celebrities, so it's
true. It might actually be a better use of his time. Never mind that. It's just like
I didn't jump nearly as much as I did last week. That was pretty good. Okay.
What was I even gonna say? Oh, I was just gonna say, like, a woman who goes on those dates with men that they know are paying for a matchmaking service, those women are very aware that they're about to go on a date with just like a bucket of red flags. Like they're very much aware that they're not going to like meet the love of their life that night. Okay, like these people are absolute freaks, and I don't even mean that to like put them down. It's just like, if market forces are such that you are paying $25,000 to meet a woman, there's probably something deeply wrong with you and your personality that is like an unfixable problem.
I am guessing that it's sold to that these men are sold on the idea that they're like, okay, I work in tech, I work 60, 80 hours a week, I don't have time to meet women, I already have a sparse friend group as it is. And it's sold to them on the basis of literally they don't have the time to do it. So, in a weird sense, they love that idea, right? It's a system that can be that can be perfected upon by saying like, I don't have the time to do this. I'm optimizing by outsourcing to this person to help me find a date. So she understands human psychology and the psychology of her target demographic perfectly. I'm just not willing to pretend like these dudes who make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year working in tech don't understand the risks involved.
And they kind of don't mind dating a woman who is only giving them the time of day for their money.
I mean, this is true of like how many CEOs get caught with escorts because they offload their, they don't want to they don't want to bring home their troubles and stuff to their wife, so they offload it on an escort or something like that. There have been movies and television shows abound on that theme in general. So this is nothing new.
Corey Anderson said, "This is a good look. Hipsters unite."
Yep.
It's a good look, but not a permanent one.
No. I saw
our normal selves.
I saw multiple people in the chat like, what's with the beanies? You can't address anything anymore. It's like when like every day I come back to the to the office and there's another comment like, where's Mary? So I have to like eventually I'm just gonna make a re-record, like a video that I can just put on repeat that just says Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Wait, people in the office?
No, people in the chat. Like I come in, I look at the computer, and it says like, "Where's Mary?" And I'm like,
wait, the people in the office should probably know what's going on.
People in the office know.
High Voltage 75 said next time fedoras.
No, I can't.
I don't own a fedora.
Neither do I.
Don't really plan on it.
I don't know how I'd wear the headphones with a fedora.
Robert Delera said, for today's show, I am waiting for Avril Lavigne to make an appearance. Why? Did I miss a reference somewhere? I don't know.
The beanie is reminiscent of Avril Lavigne era music.
I guess so, yeah.
I would honestly say I would put Avril Lavigne as earlier than Beanie era music, but that's just me.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, it was worn in a different way.
Yes.
It was before. So back in the Avril Lavigne era, the beanie was probably down here.
Yeah. I look back at old
hipsters, it was up here.
I look back at old skating edits when I would wear like beanies in the summer. I'm like, bro, you were making everything so much harder on yourself. Like a regular hat.
For the look.
Yeah, like a regular hat. Like I'll go out in just like a regular New Era fitted hat and that traps heat in your head. A beanie in the summer is basically suicidal.
Yeah. Red Snow said, small beanie energy, wear the big snapback energy.
What?
Snapback? I don't own any snapbacks. That wasn't part of the deal.
But I pay money to get my hair cut, so I don't wear a hat.
Yeah, you have to get your money's worth.
Yeah.
Corey Anderson said, so who is playing Mickey Rooney as Mr. Yunioshi in the making of Breakfast at Tiffany's movie? Or are they going to pretend that didn't happen? Good question.
Are they making another Breakfast at Tiffany's?
So they're not remaking Breakfast at Tiffany's. It's even dumber than that. They cast Lily Collins to play Audrey Hepburn in a movie about the making of Breakfast at Tiffany's. Isn't that great?
Yeah. Well, they're doing that. I think they're doing that right now with it's like a Rambo movie, like a making of. Hold on. Let me see.
It's just so like meta. I can't. Everything is pastiche now. Yeah. But I bet that actor had like a pretty similar. I mean, I know that they played up the accent in the movie. I'm aware that they played up the accent, but I bet that his real accent like wasn't that far off.
Never mind. It's called I Play Rocky. It's about the getting Rocky made.
Okay, so there's like someone playing Sylvester Stallone.
An upcoming biographical drama film focused on the tumultuous behind-the-scenes making of the 90s. I mean, that there is like a bunch of crazy stories about it. So
I know, but it's just like
the question is, will he be doing Sylvester Stallone as his original film moniker, the Italian Stallion, when he did porn?
I was relieved, by the way, to find out that Ariana Grande didn't get the role. Because that would have pissed me off. She,
as Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah, she is like obsessed with skinwalking Audrey Hepburn, and it's obnoxious. So we can finally do away with that.
We have a 20 here from Pop Culture Junkie. Says, do you think people decide to go see a film at a theater versus on streaming later based on the number of weeks it takes to end up on streaming services? What is the ideal number of weeks to make the most money from theaters? I don't think that normal people make that distinction. I do know that the system of old, when I was younger. So when I was younger, I wouldn't go to the theater, right? But then it felt like an eternity before it ended up on home video. Like it felt like years before it ended up. Like
really?
At a place where I could buy it at a store or not. Usually to its detriment, where like by then the hype is worn off.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't really care anymore. Like I think I remember wanting to see that for the most part. Films should be getting full theatrical runs. I don't think I think 45 days. I think they should be left in theaters for 45 days.
Imagine if K-pop Demon Hunters had a full theatrical release.
And that's on the low end. Longer, honestly. So
I wonder if they're going to like try to release K-pop Demon Hunters in theaters still.
It's also there's also a question for that about whether that's fair to theaters to keep them in there that long. So if a movie's doing really bad, right, do you really want to leave it in there for an extended period of time if all it's doing is taking up space on your screens and it's not actually bringing in any revenue?
Yeah, but there can be contingencies built into the contracts that they have with the theaters based on earnings, you know. Greg Duvier said, take that, Frostbacks. The Olympic gold in hockey belongs to the USA. I hoped you cried the whole way back. USA, USA.
Yeah, I saw some absolutely unhinged takes from Canadians wishing like America has another 9/11 and all sorts of stuff.
What?
Yeah, that was the thing.
Okay.
There was
They're
also
obsessed with us.
another whole argument going on over the weekend where people on the left were pissed that people on the right liked that female figure skater because she's apparently very progressive, but people on the right were like, she's, standing and putting her hand over her heart for the national anthem, and she's actually raising the flag proudly. We are literally the easiest people in the world to please. That's all you have to do is to not hate being from America. And then people on the left, they're like, that she hates you, right?
People aren't going to like this. I don't think she's like meaningfully American in any way, honestly.
Why? Because her father defected here?
I don't know what the story you're talking about is.
The figure skater, right? Her dad came over here from China. Was left communist China to come to America.
Okay. Immigrating from China doesn't make you a defector. You're still an immigrant.
No, she spoke out again. He spoke out against the Tiananmen Square and stuff like that.
Is that how the story goes? Did he have like refugee status or something?
From what I understand, I could maybe
I don't know.
It's not like I did a bunch of research into it, but from what I understand, that was the case.
Look, either way, I don't, regardless of like the reason why he immigrated here, like, I don't think that makes you American. And also like super weird how he hired 5 different surrogates to conceive all 5 of his children as voluntarily being a single father. That is insane behavior. Mm-hmm. Really off-putting, really just like disturbing. And probably like her mother, who's somewhere out there, is like from like Belarus. Like she's not American, okay? I'm sorry, but that's
the thing is most people don't take that stance on this. Most people
I know that, but it's my stance. It is.
So, and then the other one was I forget the other skater's name. That was Lou, right? Was that one? And then the other lady was the one who has dual citizenship status here and China and chose to skate for China. So Americans were like, you know what? we're going to take the one who's raising the American flag proudly. It's like, have you ever seen that? One of the greatest memes that's ever been made. It was like the American, is it like the American chess team beats the Chinese chess team, but all the Americans are Chinese. They're all Asian Americans.
That's crazy.
You know, I think that makes people miss the days of the, you know, before the era we live in now, when people had a more simplistic idea of immigration, when the idea was we didn't care where you came from as long as you came to America, espoused American values, and raised the flag proudly. And I think it makes a lot of people homesick for a different time in American culture, even if it's not really the reality of the world that we live in anymore. And also it's easy to want to throw that in the face of the people who are like, you know, she'd hate you, right? They're like, we're not looking for somebody who agrees with us 110%. We're literally asking for the bare minimum, where you don't denigrate the flag on the national scale, on the national stage, and actually look like you want to represent the country. And it's weird because I don't think that that's a whole ton to ask. And I have noted, and everybody's kind of noticed this lately, like the left has done, they've been in the middle of this weird rebrand where they now when they protest and try to burn down American cities, they bring American flags to do it, which they didn't do before. But now, like somebody in their you know, their
signal chat.
Yeah, it's told them, you know what? At least feign like you don't hate the United States of America. And I saw the other day when I was out at I think I was in Middletown, or I'm sorry, Middleway. I saw a rash of like yard signs that said pro-America, anti-Trump, with big American flags. That's part of the rebrand. But now, after America wins the gold in hockey, there's these articles written by the Huffington Post that are like, if you're finding it hard to like chant USA, you're not alone. And like, they can't help it. They cannot help it. They hate this country. They've always hated this country. They will never actually like being from America because they view America as guilty of original sin and an oppressor of the world. So they can cosplay being patriotic all they want. It's a weird skin suit that they don't actually possess.
What I hated about that article the most is the way that they used the word yucky in the headline.
Yeah.
If raising the American flag makes you feel yucky right now, we totally understand.
Yeah.
Like, why are you talking to me like I'm a preschooler?
Does it make you feel yucky?
It's reminiscent of the BuzzFeed era of articles. It was like the article that was like, you know, House of Cards was like really cool in the Obama years because everything felt safe. But now that Trump's in office, it just feels like a biography.
Shane H. Wilder said, "You gonna watch season 2, Brett?" Screenplay?
We'll have to wait. I have to get through season 1 first.
He's not sold on it yet.
No, it's hard to first of all, everybody tells me it goes off the rails in season 2.
It does.
Which is
it's
true.
It's one of those
most
shows that, like, once you've seen the first season, you've kind of gotten what you needed to get out of it.
Yeah, and that's true of a lot of things. Like, there are plenty of shows that I like that don't really need a second watching, because it's like the show Damages, which I really, really liked with Glenn Close. But a big part of the show is all of these surprises that they would hide at the end of every episode. There'd like be this like big surprise. Somebody's revealed doing something wrong. But once you've seen it the first time, it's like the M. Night Shyamalan thing, right? Like, it's not as impactful the second time around.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Francisco Sanchez Jr., said, "I'm buried under 2 feet of snow." Oh, you read this one earlier. I remember now. Shane H. Wilder said, "Mary is giving Kirsten Dunst in Elizabethtown, 2005, although the beanie was red instead of black." I have never seen that movie. Maybe I will now.
I have to address.
I mounted my TV, guys.
Yep.
Well, I didn't mount my TV.
I was going to say, like, earlier when she said that, I was like, who are you and what have you done with Mary?
I paid someone to do it, but it's up and I can watch movies now instead of doom scrolling. So maybe I'll watch that.
Destroyer to all trolls in the chat. I don't know whose conversation he's having with right now, but he says, Johnny Whitworth liked my comment on his Instagram post of Nicolas Cage doing an impression of him during a Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance interview. Is Johnny Whitworth, tell me if I'm wrong, Destroyer to all trolls, he's the guy who has like the scar on his chin? Let me know if that's the same guy that I'm thinking of, because that's the guy who played Callie's love interest on CSI Miami. He also played like a generic bad guy in the first season of Blind Spot. I'm just curious if it's the same guy or if it's a different Johnny Whitworth. It'd be hard to be in Hollywood if there's two Johnny Whitworths.
Shane H. Wilder, I missed this 20. Apologies. Didn't see it earlier. I should have said 99 a year for up to 5 people. That's on Hallow. Sure, I can and do pray on my own, but it is a lot more than prayer. The Minute Monk reflections and Jeff Caven's reflections on the daily gospel readings are some of the best. Yeah, it offers more than like an app that just has scripture on it, although that is the one I have. I just have like the normal like Bible app. Robert Delera said, Gwen Stefani is not forcing anyone to sign up. If you don't want to sign up, then don't sign up. Yeah, and like, you know, that logic is usually employed when it comes to like
Dating?
Something like abortion, where it's like, if you don't like abortions, then don't get one. But like, this is actually a situation where if you're not the target audience for a product, you don't need to buy it.
Yeah, but couldn't we say that of Blaine's dating program? If you're not the target demographic of rich tech guys, then don't buy it.
Well, I suppose that no one is really a victim in her business model.
Just makes her look just makes her look very
yeah.
It's
just kind of distasteful. Burned Oils said, bring back asylums, make America sane again. Thanks you. I would like to see that happen. I don't know if it's going to. I wonder if that executive order is going to have any effect. Brian Bledsoe said, I'll be looking for the Hallow table when I see No Doubt in May at the Sphere in Vegas.
Does the rest
No
is the
Doubt
rest
is
of
playing
the
the
band?
Sphere?
From what I hear, the Sphere is like the most expensive like venue in the world to run. Like it costs millions upon millions of dollars.
I'm sure.
Like the electric bill on that thing is like, I guess like in its first year it posted like a $500 million loss or something like that.
Doesn't it have like, sorry if this is like a dumb question, but don't they have like solar panels on it?
I don't know.
Like that would seem like the easiest way to power it, or at least partly power it, with solar panels on it.
Yeah.
Censored 86.
The Sphere reported losing in excess of $500 million in its first year of operation. That is
well,
crazy.
then what is the point?
I have no.
Vegas is losing money in general.
Because everything's so damn expensive.
Let me see if I was right. Does the... Oh, it looks like, yeah, the Sphere doesn't have solar panels. That's crazy. Why? That makes no sense.
I wonder how. So didn't they do like a Timothée Chalamet thing on the top of it for Marty Supreme?
Yeah.
Where the hell did A24 get the money to run that ad?
Yeah.
Look
well,
into
I
their
guess
bank statements.
the Sphere is desperate for money.
Yeah.
Censored 86 said, different color eyes, didn't know you had homophobia.
Exactly.
Yeah, Brett's a homophobe. You didn't know that?
Rude.
Pop Culture Junkie said, in Ally McBeal season 4, there was an episode where Anne
Hesh. And Hesh.
played a character with Tourette's, caused a mini controversy at the time.
Yeah.
I wonder what they had her character say.
I never saw that show, so.
Shane H. Wilder said, yes, because Game of Thrones is such a healthy way to learn about the birds and the bees. They essentially gave a child porn on a printed page. Yeah, and her response to it was awfully, I don't know, cheery? Like the way that she said, oh, fascinating. Like, no, I don't think you're supposed to be making light of that. That's actually really creepy. Burned Oils said, Mary's beanie makes her look normal. Great. Thanks. Because I look so abnormal the rest of the time. Pete Donovan said almost 3 feet of snow in Rhode Island so far today. Jeez.
Damn. Yeah,
Glad
I saw
I'm
that
not
it was
you.
I saw that it was in Rhode Island. They seem to be getting. I've got like a couple of friends from out that way, and I've seen that they've been hammered this year with snow.
Hope you survive. Shane H. Wilder said, so she's a high-class pimp? $1K for her to go to coffee shops. If you're going to have a modicum of riz to spend $10 at a coffee shop yourself and talk to a girl, I don't think she can help you. Yeah,
but
that's
if she was a pimp, then the girl would be getting a cut. And
which I'm not saying that that's what's happening. It could be. It could be.
But
there's a possibility, but it doesn't appear that that's, happening. That would actually mean that she's a pimp, if that were true. Yeah. Robert Delera said, forget dating websites, bring back the dating game Love Connection. That will help Gen Z cure their relationship issues. Okay. I've been meaning to go back and watch those old episodes of the old game shows, the old reality shows.
Mm-hmm. Well, now you've got a TV, you can do that now.
Yeah. Cold Leftovers said Beanie Babies.
I guess that's us today.
I don't know. Oh, is that us? Okay. I was like, why are we talking about Beanie Babies? Shane H. Wilder said, studies show that Austin is the easiest city to get a date, but has a higher rate of loneliness. The issue is in Austin, it is sadly more about hookup culture than trying to get into a relationship. Easiest city to get a date, huh?
Like, how does one even make that distinction? Like, who did the survey that proved this? Where's the empirical evidence?
Yeah, I'm skeptical.
People just be making shit up.
Okay? Interesting factoid, though. Adam said it's basically a real-life Hitch movie.
Hitch was the one with Will Smith, where he plays he helps men get dates or whatever.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't think I've watched that. Moon at Noon said, thanks for not telling Mary, Brett. Not telling me what?
I have no idea.
Well, that's what you would say if you were hiding something from me.
That is something I would say if I was hiding something.
Corey Anderson said no fedoras. Okay, top hats. Do you think that we just have this stuff laying around? Do normal people have fedoras and top hats in their closet?
I mean, I guess there would have been a time, right, where the top hat is what the guy would have worn if he was trying to make himself look interesting, like a pickup artist or something. You got to set yourself apart from everybody else. I also pointed out that picture of Shia LaBeouf means that he's kind of embodying the guy from Jamiroquai, the band, the guy who did the song Virtual Insanity back in the 90s. And I found out after the fact that apparently Jamiroquai, which was as somebody said on my X, like a flash in the pan, they were only a flash in the pan here in the US. They are apparently one of the highest sellers of records in the UK ever.
Wow.
That's crazy. I didn't know acid jazz was so popular.
Brits are weird.
Yeah.
Not that Jon Stewart said, Mary out here calling me super ugly over and over again. Sigh. I didn't insult anybody. I don't know what this is about.
Jamiroquai was the third best-selling UK act in the 90s. I never would have guessed.
Well, okay, who was that pop star that they made the biopic about him, but he's a chimp for no reason?
Oh, who is that guy? I had never even heard of him.
No, I hadn't either. Literally everyone in America was like, who the fuck is this guy? And he's super famous in the UK, which is crazy because we've had the internet for a while now. You'd think that information would cross the Atlantic, but I had never heard of this guy in my life.
I mean, that was one of those.
I can't even remember his name now.
I mean, the thing is, though, is I saw that, I was like, that was the perfect example of everybody's like, we need something new. We need new movies. We need new stuff. Oh yeah? Well, why didn't you go to the chimp biopic?
His name was Robbie Williams?
Robbie Williams as a chimpanzee. You didn't go see it. So every time you tell me, oh, we need everything's a reboot and a remake, I'm like, no, they made the chimp music guy movie and you didn't go see it. So
okay, but biopics barely even count as original. You're kind of stretching it there. Shane H. Wilder said top hats aren't cheap, Corey. Don't ask how I know. Yeah, I bet they aren't if you're looking for a really high quality one, but we got to be dapper maxing, guys.
Dapper maxing.
Yeah.
I did see some amazing satire posts over the weekend that were it was Henry Cavill, Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Clavicular are the top choices to play James Bond.
Let's not. People are fan casting Clavicular as Patrick Bateman now.
Yep, I saw that one too.
But they're also saying that Jacob Elordi is going to get the role. Why is Jacob Elordi in everything? He's becoming the new Zendaya. I don't like this guy.
Yeah, it's all right.
You can't be Elvis, James Bond, and Patrick Bateman.
Yep.
Stop. Carnell said it's only been 20 years, but do you guys think beanies with visors will ever trend its way back into fashion? Inquiring minds want a chat poll.
Yes! Visor beanies were very popular in skating. Very popular.
Honestly, if you ask me, like, I think that the people who are really, like, ahead of the curve right now are wearing visor beanies. Like, I've already seen that coming back.
I like it. I like it.
I've been actually meaning to get one for that reason. I love them. Katie Sensitive Hearts 25 said, "Hi Brett and Mary. On Friday I saw Shelter. It was awesome. Jason Statham did a great job."
Yep, Statham is good in literally everything. All right, he doesn't have to try hard. Just does this voice, kills a bunch of bad guys. That's all he does. It's awesome. And I'm gonna watch his movie Jason Statham Stole My Bike when that comes out too.
Pop Culture Junkie said, "Agree, 45 days or even more."
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think that's best, especially for, like, it was worse in the early 2020s when they were, like, putting movies out there and then they'd pull it immediately. But I at least I understood the fear at that time because they were still blaming COVID at that time. And people were still at least mildly hesitant to go back out. So
right. Greg Duvier said, "Make movies and TV great again. Movies in theaters for 30 to 45 days. TV shows 20 plus episodes, 22 to 45 minutes, and 9 months between seasons."
No. You mean 3 months. You mean 3 months between seasons, my friend. If you're doing the 20, there's literally not 9 months between. Like, if you're on a year schedule and you're doing 22 episodes, it takes 9 months to put out those 22 episodes. Then you get 3 months off, and then you go right back to it. I just read this really, like, depressing article about a mini boom in pilots. So if you don't know what it's like when they order, basically it used to be a thing where they would order like dozens and dozens of pilots every year. Even on its low swing back in 2019, there would be 66 pilots commissioned, and then obviously only a few of them actually go to air. Now this year it's considered a mini boom because they ordered like 12 pilots between all the seasons, or all the networks. And they're pointing out, like, this was like the type of thing where maybe an actor goes out for a pilot and the show never goes to air, but the actor does well with the director and then they get called back for another show or something like that. There's no excitement in Hollywood anymore because all of it's direct to series order. Somebody pitches a show, it gets immediately ordered to series, and there's none of the excitement of pilot season.
At this point, I would be desperate for 9-month gaps between seasons. Even like we're getting to a point where it's like 9-year gaps between seasons, so 9 months sounds fine to me.
I'm like halfway through season 2 of Tracker. I'm kind of excited to get into season 3. According to some of the people online, they were like, season 3 they get rid of the woke stuff. I don't know where there is some woke stuff in season 2, I guess, and just the fact that it's that one kind of quasi annoying like feminist character who gets less annoying as the show goes on. But mostly the show's just kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of fascinating. It's literally designed to be watched with your brain turned off. It's not funny. It's not serious.
Is it Tide Pod cinema?
It kind of is. Also, I made this post about this thing in the show where I had to ask people online, where I was like, the show makes this stylistic choice where, and I don't know if this would necessarily ring true for you, but like the medium shots use such a long lens that it looks fake. Like the blur behind him is so massive for a shot that's still semi-wide that it looks like they did it on the green screen, but it's not.
That looks like a stock image.
I know. Somebody goes, that looks like ChatGPT. I'm like, that's true.
It's like if I Google like confused man on phone next to car. And it shows me a stock image. It's
not that using an extremely shallow depth of field is a problem. Usually that's saved for a close-up shot. But on a medium shot like that, it just looks fake, but it's not. It's very weird.
My lighting just got really weird for a second there.
Thank you!
This doesn't even look real. Do you see this lighting situation?
What?
Right now?
What?
This is crazy.
Oh, yeah, it's weird.
I look like I'm about to like die in a nuclear blast.
Well, you're. It seems like if you have a ring light, it's only lighting half of you. Usually you light flat. You light directly in the front.
This is so weird.
Okay. In the chat, Hoppy asks, "Do you guys talk about anything significant?"
Yeah.
Maybe.
We only talk about significant things.
This
is the most important podcast ever.
This is significant to me. Talking about this stuff, this matters. This matters to me. Oh,
everything matters.
Here's something else that's crazy. Okay, this is the most depressing thing ever because I tweeted about the absurdly shallow depth of field for a medium shot, and just out of curiosity, because I didn't feel like going into Reddit, I decided to ask like Grok, like, has the cinematographer on this show ever addressed anything to do with the, their lens choices? Because this is what I spend my Sundays doing. And it says no, but there has been online fan discussion, and it referenced my tweet, which I had just made like an hour earlier.
That's annoying.
And terrifying.
And terrifying, yes, but mostly annoying because it's not giving you any new information.
Exactly.
Corey Anderson said, Mary seems like the type of lady that doesn't put air in her own tires. I mean, yes. Is that not like most ladies? Most women don't work on their own cars in any capacity.
I mean, I'm assuming.
Men actually don't.
Yeah, but I'm assuming that if you're like a single lady who owns a car, you still put air in your own tires. Do you like what? Do you go visit your dad and say, go put air in my tires? What if you live out of state?
I just basically have them do it whenever I get an oil change.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing to do. And you're like, top off all the fluids on my car as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. E7Z45. I don't know what that means. It sounds weird, so I'm not going to say it. Okay. Shane H. Wilder said, Elizabethtown is a meet-cute tragic comedy / rom-com with Orlando Bloom and Kirsten Dunst. Bloom meets Dunst on a plane when going to his dad's funeral.
Never saw it.
Well, it depends on how tragic it is versus how comedic it is, whether I'm willing to watch it, because I'm not into sad shit. Like, I don't want to feel sad on purpose. I don't listen to sad music. I don't watch sad movies. I don't want to be sad. So I'm hoping that it has an uplifting ending. Ryan Bledsoe said they're building a mini sphere in the DC area.
It's technically in Maryland. And I tweeted, I was like, nothing in the Maryland resume justifies. I was like, nothing in the Maryland resume justifies this.
That is the gayest thing ever. That's the most like globo homo thing I've ever heard. What an awful idea. Even the Vegas Sphere is losing money, and they thought that was a good idea.
Apparently,
that's insane. No Control said Mary needs a cowboy hat now that she's in TN. I have thought about that because there are places that will do it like
custom.
They'll custom fit it to your head, and
okay.
I have a pretty weirdly shaped head, so I would need something like that.
Okay.
I do have the boots already. Shane H. Wilder said, I'm making homemade beef stew tonight. Anyone want some? Sorry, I'm just trying to get us to another crisis party. We appreciate that. Thank you.
And we did get to another crisis party, so that's okay.
Yeah, and beef stew sounds really good. Not that Jon Stewart said stew sounds good in this weather. Very cozy.
Yep.
Corey Anderson said Mary doesn't remember the 2-year period where Jude Law was in every movie in the early 2000s.
I don't think Mary would remember that anyways. Like, it's probably before.
Well, yeah, of course not.
Yeah.
but what was Jude Law in?
You'd have to go look it up.
Wasn't there a different actor that you said was that person who was like
Hugh Grant? Hugh Grant was in everything back in the day.
Oh. Yeah. Pop Culture Junkie said Austin dating info comes from 2021 survey on Best Places website. I feel like living in Austin must suck for totally different reasons. Personally, I wouldn't.
Burned Oils in the chat says, I can tell Brett is tired of wearing that beanie.
Is it giving you sensory issues?
It's hard to hear. I remember I only have one ear that works, so through the headphones, like Tim doing this every day is crazy work because I don't think I could do this every day with the hearing problems. I'd have to crank the headphones up so loud it would be insane.
Pete Donovan said the main reason, I guess, anyone in the U.S. knows about Robbie Williams is because Noel and Liam Gallagher had an on and off beef with him over the years.
That makes sense. When Noel and Liam were not beefing with each other, they were beefing with this guy. Okay.
No Control said Mary fills her tires till the dash says 100%. Well, thankfully, I don't fill my own tires, so I wouldn't make that mistake. Corey Anderson said Towson's own all-time low opening the DC Sphere. Okay, that's also lame. I mean, I like their old stuff, but their new stuff sucks. Blood-Based sent us $9.99 without a message.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Burned Oils said, one time they will blow up in her ears, LOL.
What?
I don't know what that means.
The tires?
I hope not. Okay. Are we all caught up, or is there anything on
I'm just making sure
Rumble?
Well, there's some more super chats here. I'm gonna find.
I just haven't seen them.
Yeah, there's a couple more down here. Shane H. Wilder says, it's not sad, Mary. Also, custom-fitted cowboy hats are not cheap. As someone with an odd-shaped head with two of them, I can attest to this.
It's an investment, okay? Yeah. I would feel like I'm at least investing in something that will last me for life.
Also, I do think that there's a reasonable amount of like evidence behind the idea. Like, the more you spend on something, like, you just train your brain to like it.
Yeah.
Like yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
like
true.
Every time I've bought like a not a custom hat, but I used to buy a lot of like out of print like snapbacks from famous games. Like I would buy the Twins World Series hats, the harder to find the better. Even if it ended up getting it and it didn't fit all that great, I'm like, well, you know what? I own it, so I'm gonna wear it anyways.
Yeah.
Because it costs money, so I'm gonna make myself do that. All right, Pop Culture Junkie says, when I moved to Houston in 95 and went to my first rodeo, I got the cowboy hat and boots. Definitely got a custom hat. Definitely get a custom hat. You won't regret it.
It was literally your first rodeo.
This
is my first rodeo? Because
Okay.
it is.
I've never been to one, but tell me right now, to anybody in the chat who's been to a rodeo, do they sell shirts there that say, this is my first rodeo? And if they don't, tell me why they decide to just throw money away. They have to do that. I refuse to
I
believe
really
that
want to
can
go
do
to
that.
a rodeo now, because then I would be at my first rodeo.
Literally my first
That's
rodeo.
reason enough to go to one, actually.
Corey Anderson says, Mary, that was a joke, as DC can't get the talent that Las Vegas can.
Okay, I genuinely thought you were serious, which says more about DC. It's unflattering that I thought that was real. That's really sad.
Katie says, growing up, I was in special needs classrooms. I was a client of government-pushed disability organizations that were crap. I needed Jesus all along.
Hard to decipher that one.
Okay. All right. I believe we are all caught up everywhere, guys. Before we go, would you all hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already, please, and thank you. Mary, where can they find you?
You guys can send me validation on Instagram, that is Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X, that is also Mary Archived, and help me get TikTok famous, that is also Mary Archived. I also just wanted to kind of nudge and mention that there are new episodes of a certain internet show, Variety, that you can go and find if you're determined.
All right, if you guys want to follow me, I am on Instagram and X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch this show, you can also rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which is another great way to help the channel out. And if you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at PopCulture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Shane H. Wilder in the chat says, the black hat I was in the trivia special. I read that correctly. Was on the cheap side at $150. If you go to a rodeo, make sure to watch what is it? Mutton bustin'?
What is that?
I don't know.
I'll find out when I go to my first rodeo.
Exactly. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then. Bye. Everybody.